Hey there, this is K4A, Knowledge for All educational videos and tutorials, and in this video today we will learn how and when to use GMS drag and drop block, which is called if object at place. That is one of the collisions blocks, and you can find them if you scroll down in your blocks until you find collisions group of blocks, and the second from the left which says if object at place. That's what we are going to learn and use today. This video came after a long pause on this channel, and there were lots of reasons for that in my real life obligations, work on my games, other people's games, other jobs and works, and also YouTube was changing some kind of monetization rules. Then recently they had some kind of drama with invalid views, so they are it's like they try to keep it harder and harder for content creators to put their content on the channel and make some money of it or some views. And also there were other problems also with some game engines, like recently with Unity, and I started to make some kind of tutorials, but recently Unity made some crazy, weird and bad decisions about again their monetization policy, and it's all the same story, same as with YouTube and Unity and Twitter or whatever. They are all the big players, they are all obviously they are making money less and less and harder and harder, so they want to push that pressure on the content creators and users instead of taking a lesser cut, making less money. They don't want to do that, so the easiest solution is okay, if I don't want to make less money, I will make the content creator do that. So again, those are different stories and policies, but all of those influence not only me as a very small channel, but much more bigger channels and creators and game developers and so on. So all of those reasons were combined into me not making more videos, but also me being lazy. Okay, so let's change that and try to learn the new block. So next probably lots of new videos will be about GameMaker drag and drop blocks, which will also, I guess and hope, help some people transfer from Unity to maybe GameMaker, although I do not recommend GameMaker only or as only choice. I'm not paid by them, or I don't see them very different from Unity or Unreal or some other big players. Okay, so in last few videos we have learned how to add some kind of transition from one room to another. So we have learned a couple of blocks on transitioning from one room to another, and also making some kind of decisions and rules, how to go to next room, specific room, go back, and so on. So in this video today I will try to add some kind of object in my game which will serve as a portal, as a door to another level when the player touches it. We have learned that previously with I think we had some kind of, yes, obj portal level 2 it was called, and that was the object which had this event when this object obj portal level 2, the door, touches, collides with obj player 2, go to next room, and that's it. So that was working good more or less, and we have used the event. But this time we are going to do the same thing with what? With this block here, which says go if object at place. So I will use this block if object at place to check if there is a collision of the first object with the second object at some place. So as this short description says here, when you hover those buttons you have some descriptions, and this one says check if an instance overlaps one or more instances of a specific object at a position. So we are checking the collision. The collision means if those two objects are touching each other, if they are colliding, if they are hitting each other. So you will use this a lot in games, and you can use that this now as a block. We will see that in a second. So instead of clicking add event, check collision here, object with something else, you can now drag and drop this block here, because sometimes you will need to put that block into some other event. I want to have it in my step event, I want to have it in my key press or any other event, and I don't want to make collision event, I want to add a block into some other event. Okay, so first of all I want to uncheck this zombie spawner, because I don't want to get distracted by it. Okay, so obj zombie spawner uncheck, and now it should not spawn zombie on the screen. We will check that in a second. And the second thing I want to do is I want to, because I'm lazy again and try to make this as short as possible, I will copy this obj portal level 2, duplicate, and rename it to obj portal level next. So I want to make some kind of door to the next level. So if I'm, for example, in level 1 and I touch that door, they will take me to level 2. If I'm on level 2 and touch it, that door will take me to level 3. So it's always the next level, not specifically level 2, but next level. Okay, so the problem here that I have, because I have duplicated this object, I have the same code in it. So I want to delete this code, this event. I will click to select it with my left mouse button, then right click, then find delete event, and yes, so this one is now empty. And now I will drag it and drop it into my game here just to see if this works. It should just stand there in my level without having any kind of mechanics, feature or action. So play. Okay, I now, yeah, I can touch it but nothing happens. Why? Because we don't have any kind of code on it, and we don't have zombies. We have also unchecked that. Great. So what I want to do here, I want to say, okay, if my player touches this door, take him to the level, next level. This is the same graphics, because I was lazy, the same sprite which I was using for door, go to level 2, but we can change that also later. But the whole idea here is when I touch this door, I will enter the next level. Okay, so I want to do that in this object, obj portal level next. So I want to code that here, and as I said, I want to check that all the time while I'm playing this game, while my player is on the screen. Maybe he's going up, down, left, right, avoiding this door. He doesn't care about door, he's collecting coins. So I will have to check that all the time. And how do you do that in games? In game development you have to use step event. Step event checks some kind of condition, some kind of action every frame. Okay, so step event, and in step event just simple drag and drop collision block, scroll down until you find collisions, then the second from the left, if object at place. So do not take the first one is if any object at place. We don't need that, we need the second one, if object at place. Click and drag it here, and here it is, simple as that. So let's zoom it to see it better. And what kind of options do we have here? Okay, first of all I have the option to pick the object which I want to check the collision with. In my case that is what? That is this guy here, obj player 2, it's called that in my game. So if object at place is object player 2, so click on this button, select a resource, click on objects and find it there, and then check on this relative box here. Why? Because we want to check the collision relatively to this guy here. This guy here is the door for our game, the portal, and it has some coordinates. So we want to check those relative coordinates of this guy here, not the absolute. Absolute would be the whole scene. So this is my whole scene, my whole level, and if I say go to 0, 0, that would mean go to left point of my scene. But if I say go to relative coordinates of 0, 0 of my door, that would mean go to the center of this door. Okay, another thing which is also important is that you have collision mask on your obj portal level next, in my case, in your case, whatever you call it, and you check that by clicking on the sprite for that object. We have used this sprite, and you click on this collision mask and you see we have some kind of collision mask completely covering this sprite, which is great for our game. Sometimes you want to check these options here, mode, automatic, type, rectangle, oval, and so on, to change the collision mask to fit better your needs. Okay, so we have chosen the object which we want to check the collision with. We have chosen the coordinates relative to our object, to our portal. Okay, what else? Nothing else, but yeah, we have to say, okay, this will return true or false. If object at place, yes, I'm colliding with this guy here now, and that's it, that's true. But what do we want to do when this is true? What do we want to tell GameMaker or your game how to react? So you need to add some kind of reaction, to this block, to this event. If there is collision, do what? In my case, I will use just simple go to next level, which is, I think, rooms, yeah. Rooms, go to room, no, go to next, yeah, go to next room. Is that what we are going to use? Yeah, and drag and drop it here, but not below this guy here, but instead into it, on to his right border, so you have some kind of visual light on the right. So not here below, but to the right, so you will add some kind of interaction. So it's simple as that. So that's the whole idea here. When I touch the door, go to next room. We will have some kind of problems here, obviously, but in the simplest way. Okay, I'm not touching it, there is no collision at that place, but if there is a collision, I will be transferred to another level, and that works. We saw that. So I see a couple of possible problems here. The first one is that depending on the side where I'm touching my portal, that will affect the player spawning in next level. So if I'm touching the door, the portal from the left side, my player will be transferred into the next level with this position, and if I go from this side, it will transfer like that, from this side like that, and for example from this side, yeah, like that. So that's maybe a problem for your games. For example, for some of your games, for most of classic games, when you touch some kind of next level door, you want your player to spawn here in left bottom corner and start from this position here, and when he touches the door here, for example on the right, he goes again back in the next level on this position. So I hope you can code that with the blocks which we have learned previously, like jump to position and so on. If the level is 2, check some conditions, put some blocks to fix the position into the next room and so on. So we have learned that before, but anyway, that's something you should be aware. Also, another thing which we should learn here is when I told you to check those two checkboxes relative, because we were using the door position as collision check, but if I uncheck those and my X and Y are 0, as I have explained previously, now my GameMaker check is not working on this door as collision, but it is trying to find this spot here, 0, 0, absolute 0. So for me it doesn't make much sense to use it in this way, but maybe for some of your games you will need to experiment with those or to use it. So my door now is checking the collision, but it is not reacting. Why? Because it is not relative but absolute. So when I go to 0, 0, it will go to, yeah, here to next. A little bit less because I have probably yeah, my coordinates are not in the middle probably of this object, but anyway, they are not relative to the door but to the scene. This checkbox not is reversing, it's opposite of this condition if object at place. So if I say if object at place is one sentence and I want to make negation negative of it, I will say if object not at place. Again, that doesn't make much sense for this level and this game. Why? Because it will probably trigger right away. So if you see the scene here and just ask yourself the simple question, is the player, the white box, at position with this guy here, the door? No, it is not. So this will be true right away. Object is not at the place, and that is what we have checked here to check as a condition. Do what? Go to next room. So right from the start, this scene will go from first level to the second in a split of second, because the condition is true. The player is not touching the door. So when I press the play, this will happen. I will go to level 1, but because the GameMaker is very fast, it will just go to the level 2 instantly, because the player is not touching the door. So take a look here. Yeah, it's you haven't even seen the first level. It's automatically the level 2. So I do not want to do that. Yeah, we can maybe check this here. So what would just as some kind of test for you to see if you understand how this works and what I'm talking about. So I'm asking the GameMaker now, if the object is not at place, which place? This place, the door. So is it not on the door? But this time I have put my player on the door. So this time the GameMaker will start this level. Why? Because this is not true. The object is at place and I'm checking if it's not. But the moment I move from the door, it will go to the next level. I hope you understand, but we will see that in action now. So yeah, the game works here. Why? Because the object is at the place door. It is touching the door. So you can use this maybe to limit the player in some kind of area, like make some kind of prison or arena like battle arena. So the moment you go out of that arena, you die or the game is over, like in sumo wrestling or something like that. So if the object is at place, yes it is, but look now, when I go with my white object out of this area, it will go to next level. Yeah, simple as that. So again, maybe it's useful for sumo wrestling game, I don't know. I will not use the not checkbox. I'm not going to explain this return list and free target and target checkboxes and fields, because we haven't learned lists as data structures yet, and also options with those. So we will see that in some of next videos when we learn the lists. But in short, you can use this object here, the door, and the code here, the block, to check if this guy here, the door object, is touching more than one instance. And then, for example, it can be some kind of again area or pickup or some kind of healing area. So are there more than one players in the healing area? And if they are, then the one which was first give him the most healing, the second give him the little bit less, and so on. So you're checking for more than one instance of the object, and then do some kind of reaction or decision based on it. So you put all of those information, all of those instances. Imagine more than one guy is touching this door, like zombies in a spawn or something like that, and GameMaker can remember all of those instances and put them in some kind of list, some kind of information list, and then depending on what you want to do with those targets, you say here, okay, target is this, put the target in this variable, and do, as I said, do something specific with it. This block is one of the more important blocks, again, because you will use it to put it in step, create alarm or other events, mouse click and so on, to check if some two objects or more than two objects are colliding. And you don't have to use this collision event, they work more or less the same, very similar, but the advantage of this is that this is a block, so you can put it in other events. So you pick the event and then pick the collision block and drag it into the event, and you can use that. For example, I have used it here to make some kind of door level portal to the next level, but you can use it to again check the collision with enemies like zombie, check the collisions with these guys here, coins, which we have used collision event before. Yeah, so we have used collision event before. Now you can do that with collision block instead, and so on. So endless possibilities, and you will use it lots of times in your GameMaker games. And I will put the link to official GameMaker manual, so you can check their description of it. Okay, let me see how long this is. 25 minutes, not bad for me. So see you in a next video. Thanks for watching and see you soon.